Not cranberry sauce, Artie.
The Holler Kings, where the horror's southern fried.
Hello, it's me, Craig.
And it's me, Adam.
And we're the Holler Kings.
The motherfucking Holler Kings.
Gobble, gobble, y'all.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker.
Oh, that's right. It's Thanksgiving. And here we are to join you and your family.
To have a little sit down around the table with the glorious bird in front of us.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I have quite a Thanksgiving spread for the two of us. I prepared a turkey and some fixings and, well, a little something sweet. Sweet and red. Here.
Good. What? Oh,
Here,
thank you.
try some.
Oh, that's delicious, sir.
Yes.
What is that?
It's not cranberry sauce.
Oh, no.
I went there. Blood rage, motherfuckers. That's right. We are going to review a very, very specific lane of movies. That is the Southern Thanksgiving slasher.
It's just this one.
I mean, almost
Pretty
literally,
much.
probably.
Yeah.
Blood rage.
Looks like you're gonna get a chance to meet the rest of the family. My psychotic brother just escaped.
Just don't want to spoil things.
Anybody else need more turkey?
No, I'm pretty good, thanks.
I don't like to talk about my brother. It gives me nightmares.
I mean, it is Thanksgiving.
You know, somebody ought to tell him to get inside. Nobody should be out with my brother around.
He looked exactly like Terry, except he had this really wild, crazed look in his eyes.
There's somebody after me and he's chasing me and he's trying to hurt me. You're gonna hurt my kitty. Oh, God.
You're a real sweetheart. You know that? A real sweetheart. It's not cranberry sauce, Artie. It's not cranberry sauce.
Nightmare at Shadow Woods.
Slasher. Yes, slasher. Those are all the titles for this film.
So whichever you prefer, there it is.
Adam, tell us about Blood Rage.
Blood Rage is the story of two sweet little boys who are out on a date
At the drive.
with their, I guess they're tagging along on their mother's date.
Yes.
At the drive-in, one of them decides it'd be really awesome to murder somebody and then blame it on his brother. And we fast forward 10 years later as the brother escapes.
He's institutionalized.
Yes, he is institutionalized. The brother escapes and the evil one decides to pick up killing.
Yeah, like triggers him back into his murderous ways.
It's like, oh, fuck, murder, I forgot.
Yeah, he apparently lived as a pretty normal, somewhat adjusted person.
Yeah.
But then when that innocent twin shows back up, he remembers,
Shit,
I'm a
forgot
killer.
to murder.
I'm a fucking killer! Tell me your experience with Blood Rage.
When I first saw it, it was under the title Nightmare at Shadow Woods. I bought the DVD of it, just blind bought it, and watched it one night, not quite knowing what I was getting into. Mm-hmm. And I was forever changed.
How long ago was this?
I'd say probably like maybe 18, 19, 20, around that time frame. Yeah.
It's pretty recent. Yeah.
So it doesn't feel recent, sir.
This is very famously shot in '83 and not released until '87.
Correct.
So for some reason, it sat on the shelves for a while,
Which is odd.
Yeah.
Especially at the height of slashers were huge. They were all the rage.
It's true.
So I feel like if they would have thrown that out quick as they could, but I don't know.
I don't know what happened behind this. I'm sure there's a big, story behind it, but
Yeah.
And this is shot and set in Florida, except for the drive-in scene. That was in Jersey.
Yeah.
Tell us the special appearance in the drive-in opening.
We have the one and only Ted Raimi selling condoms, apparently.
It's true. It's true. That sequence is
I don't
set.
think he even has a line of dialogue.
Yeah, he just kind of smirks.
Yeah. And
apparently,
just points at condoms.
apparently that's like his first film role too. That was
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I guess would he have been in Evil Dead before that? The original? I guess so, right?
Well, I get this because Evil Dead 2 came out, 87?
Yeah.
But it was actually shot later than 83. So, yeah, you may be right.
I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was his debut, but I could be wrong.
I mean, I would think so because, yeah, if Evil Dead, he was in Evil Dead 2. So if that was shot after this, then, yeah, this probably was his first one.
There you go. Booyah. There's not much Southern about this, although it is technically set in Florida. That's
pretty
kind
much
of
not Southern at all, which is kind of refreshing. It's almost kind of Southern.
Right.
With some of the I think you see some palm trees around and stuff like that.
No, it's definitely identifiable as Florida.
Yeah,
for sure.
But there is no obnoxious Southern accents and stuff like that.
There's a kind of a weird Thanksgiving thread through this movie because I feel like there's a sequence early on where the twin brother, the innocent one that's institutionalized, where his mother visits him and she tries to give him pumpkin pie. So I guess it was supposed to be Thanksgiving, like a previous year, or maybe leading up, or maybe she just gave him pumpkin pie. I don't know.
I took it was that day. And then later it's like Thanksgiving Day, so she's going to visit him,
of course,
and then come back and eat Thanksgiving dinner.
I was schooled immediately, but that is the most bizarre scene I think I've taken in a while.
It's weird because they're sitting there. They have lines of dialogue, but we have voiceover through the whole scene.
Yeah.
Of the doctor.
There's a doctor sitting in on the visit between the mother and the innocent twin. And the twin apparently has never dropped the thread of him being innocent. Because that's what he basically says, right?
No, well, in her voiceover that she talks about right then, he's just starting to remember what happened and is now saying,
gotcha.
Hey, I'm innocent. I'm good. My brother, Terry, he's a son of a bitch. Todd's fine. Terry's a murderer. So
I mean, and this thing plays out very bizarrely because there's very calm voiceover running over a sequence of just a guy becoming unhinged and screaming and acting like a maniac and then throwing
slinging pumpkin pie against the wall.
He mashes the pumpkin pie and then throws it against the wall.
She's literally in the voiceover, she's going beat by beat what's happening in the scene.
It's a really strange choice.
Just let them talk.
I mean, I wonder. Did you think they lost the sound?
Audio? Maybe,
and that's why
that's what it was.
Maybe they tried to do the whole ADR thing, and it looked too cheesy even for them, and they just thought, let's just do voiceover because, maybe it looked a little too comical even for this movie for new people to be voicing them, and it's out of sync maybe. But it's a very strange choice. I heard that the mother, this Louise Lasser, who's playing Maddie / the mom of the film, was really difficult on set. That she was really hard to control.
She was in a different movie, that's for sure. I could see that she would be difficult.
Because apparently she was very famously had a lot of drug issues and substance abuse issues. So I think she was very much so off the reservation filming this movie. Although she was the marquee actor. She was the only person that was well known.
Yeah.
She had several, high profile gigs. She's one of the first hosts of SNL. I mean, she's
really
of that era. She would be a pretty high profile person, at least recognizable.
Right.
So I'm sure they were hoping her name would kind of help people, help sell this movie. And she did not cooperate very much, but, she gives quite a performance.
Man.
Jumping around just a little bit, There's some really fun gore effects in this, very over the top, silly stuff. But the only thing that really disturbed me was when the mother, there's a sequence where she's eating Thanksgiving leftovers on the kitchen floor. And it disgusted me so bad. I mean, like, it turned my stomach just seeing her, like, eating with her bare hands.
She's, like, grabbing green beans with her hands and eating them.
It's, like, my biggest phobia. Like I have a strong stomach for anything else. Like, I've literally seen people throw up, like, complete strangers and help them. And stuff like that never bothers me. But seeing people eat in a sloppy way like that in a movie...
Yeah.
upsets me. Like, it really disturbs me. So, like, when she was doing that, and the pumpkin pie sequence honestly kind of grossed me out too. I don't know what
all over his hands.
I don't know why.
Never watched the movie Feed.
Noted.
You know, because I mentioned it, how I really love overacting when it works. It does not work in this movie. But that's part of the charm of it and the fun of it. But yeah, no, it doesn't work at all. This movie, every time, I haven't watched this movie a ton of times. Every time I watch it, I finish it going, was I asleep just now? Did I just have a fever dream? This movie seems so discombobulating. It throws you off in such a way that it just leaves you kind of delirious almost.
Yeah.
Was this your first time watching it?
It was, and honestly, there were moments where, like, you've already corrected me like 2 or 3 times about the story, because I got, I don't want to say lost, but the connective tissue I was unsure about.
It's not super important.
You know what I mean? Like the whole Thanksgiving of it, and like the series of events, like who knows who, all that stuff I lost track of very, very quickly. Like who is this person that they're introducing? Who just got killed? I guess I know who they are. Like I kind of questioned the whole way through. I will say I thought the actor playing the twins, because it's the same guy playing Todd and Terry, the twins. Mark Soper
works for me.
He does a pretty good job, I thought.
Yeah, I thought he was actually pretty solid.
You could tell the differences between the two. I mean, it's not very subtle, but you could tell the differences between the two performances, that of the innocent brother and the sinister one.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a really good job. Although he is maybe a little one note.
And his one note is the cranberry sauce thing. He says that like 3 or 4 times.
And honestly, it kind of like, it became like, you know, you're doing it too much, and it almost went back around to like being charming.
Yeah.
But I don't think they pushed it I think they should have went further with it if they were going to go there. Like, it should have been like, he said it like 12 times. Yeah. You know what I mean? To make it like the joke really land. Because to me, it felt like they intended it to be a tagline / like clever, not like you're doing it so much that it becomes funny, you know. Although yes, there are sequences where blood is mistaken for cranberry sauce, but it's not.
It's not cranberry sauce.
No.
We should push that and say it like a bunch throughout this episode.
Well, I already started it, so I do think one of the first kills is amazing. The stepfather in his office.
Yeah.
When he's all like, "Look what the cat dragged in," and he just like straight up murders the shit out of him.
That's what this kill. Like, Terry is so nonchalant about. There's no build up. There's no tension. Right. He's just like, "I'm just gonna murder you." It just literally comes. I mean, I guess it is kind of jarring in that it's so unexpected.
Yeah.
I mean, you do expect it. You see it coming, but just the way that it plays out. It's just really strange how they set those scenes up and how they unfold. He just, well, like you said, he just like, hey, look what the cat drug in, and he just starts killing him.
Well, I mean, and like, I know that a lot of slasher movies, or maybe all of them, don't have a really substantial motive for the killer, but this one, I mean, there is no motive. He is
Nothing.
Just, you have the flashback sequence or the opening sequence explaining that one of the twins is deranged, but aside from that, I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, like, so the innocent twin showing back up just automatically triggers him to be murderous again? Because they imply that he hasn't been murderous in the in-between years.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all. Maybe he just thought, well, now I have an excuse to kill again. This is like my only way to cover it up.
But why is he use that time to kill all his friends and shit? I don't.
Yeah.
It's strange, and that's mainly the only people he's killing.
Yeah,
is just his like friends and stuff. There's a because it's all set at this apartment complex, Shadow Woods Apartments, and so there's a couple like the people around there and stuff like that he kills, but mainly it's just like his friends and stuff. Why?
And stepdad, I guess.
Yeah, stepdad.
Because that's like a opening sequence kind of the adult twin, or an early sequence is Thanksgiving dinner when the new suitor to his mother kind of announces they're getting married.
Right.
And, maybe that's a triggering moment as well.
He seems kind of thrown off by it at first.
And he's one of the first victims, correct?
He is the first one. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So maybe that's kind of the dual thing,
It's just too much change at once.
I like that opening death, though, or that particular death. I mean, because the father is in his office drinking a beer, and it's great because his hand gets sliced off immediately. That's the first strike, and the hand falls to the ground, clutching the beer, and you see like the fingers wiggling and everything is really fun. And then he gets smashed in the face with the machete. The kills in this are not very clever, but the special effects are fun, I thought.
Yeah.
They're so over the top. But that was my favorite kill, I think.
My favorite, the kill is simple. It's the way it plays out is when the one guy, he's the guy that's with the doctor, that comes with the doctor that's looking for Todd, thinking he's the killer. And he runs into Terry. And I forget the exact line of what he says. Damn it, I wish I could remember what it was. But he says something to Terry, something along the line of like, your brother says he's not a killer or something like that. And Terry thrusts the machete through the dude's stomach and is like, yes, he is. Yes, he is. Or something along those lines. It's like, wait, what?
I mean...
It was really... I wish I could remember exactly how it played out. But, yeah, he just starts stabbing him and saying that his brother is... Basically, that his brother is the one that's the killer. And it's like, but you're the one stabbing me, bro. So, I don't know. That was hilarious.
Do you think that at one point... I think I heard that this was going to be called The Complex at one point.
Yeah, I think
and that
so.
was going to be sort of the hook, is that it takes place all in this apartment complex. But they said it during Thanksgiving. Do you think at one point this was going to lean more into the Thanksgiving elements? Or was it just a loose thread that didn't really mean anything?
I mean, it's a really small thread. It's not necessary in the way it played out. So I don't know if it was, they drastically changed it to be almost non-existent.
It's really a clever hook of its era, just because, or it's not maybe not clever, but it made a lot of sense. I mean, with Halloween and Black Christmas, that someone would have taken a shot at a Thanksgiving horror film, especially a slasher. That I'm surprised they didn't lean into it a little bit more often. And also, if you think about it, a Thanksgiving slasher, the kill body count could be astronomical, because you could have a slasher showing up to all these family get-togethers and just straight up murdering families one by one. I mean, that would be like terrifying. I mean, I'm surprised. It probably has happened and I'm just ignorant of it. But to me, that could be like a really solid slasher film, if done correctly.
Yeah.
But
I don't know of any specific one that I can think of.
Yeah.
This is like the closest one that I can recall off the top of my head. There's like other horror movies set around Thanksgiving, around the holiday of Thanksgiving, but I can't think of one specific that's like a slasher other than this one. But yeah, they really didn't use it to their advantage at all. This is so oddball from most other slashers, because there's no mass killer. There's no air of mystery to this like there are with a lot of other slasher films. there's no whodunit element to this.
Yeah.
There's no killer with a mask like Jason or Michael, and there's not even like or like the first Friday the 13th where the killer's it's either point of view or the killer's in shadows. This is one of the few, I think, that just blatantly we see who the killer is from the very get-go. There's no, I know like Slumber Party Massacre, you kind of see the killer some, but from what I can remember, even then, it's not just as blatant as this movie is. This is the only one I can kind of recall not using that element of the whodunit type thing, kind of.
Well, that's a great point, and it's also a really good point that this killer is not iconic. Like, they didn't try to give him a mask or a certain look. I mean, he's just kind of a generic guy in a polo shirt. Yeah. Which is kind of, in a roundabout way, interesting. You know what I mean? Just because there's not very many of that ilk.
Yeah. The only other one I can think of would be like Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Sure.
But that doesn't feel... I mean, that is a slasher movie, but that doesn't feel like a slasher movie to me on the level of something like this.
Yeah.
That almost feels like some sort of really bad attempt at a character study of a serial killer, whereas this is just straight up slasher.
I mean, the only thing that really works for it is, in retrospect, it's bonkers. I mean, I had a lot of fun watching this thing.
Yeah.
But it is so all over the place that, I mean, I guess this is kind of like the perfect camp movie or the perfect so bad it's good, because
it really does.
It's not on purpose. Like, it feels like it was kind of done in mistake, which that's like the perfect alchemy for a movie like that. So
yeah, a lot of this feels very accidental, but very charming in its own. It's one of those things that we've talked about. We hammer home all the time. You can sense when people care and are trying, even if they're failing miserably. Kind of like it feels in this movie. They're still they still care about it.
Yeah,
and that bleeds through. You can't help but enjoy this movie. It's a really fun slasher. I was disappointed that they set up such a good, like, the drive-in is like the perfect setting for a slasher movie. And it's just like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not many, I don't know, there might be, I think there's like maybe one or two slasher films that are set at a drive-in. I don't think there are any count over. I know there's like Dead End Drive-In, which is like a big cult movie that, but I don't think it's a slasher film. But yeah, it's a perfect setting for a slasher movie.
They do exit that scenario very quickly. It reeks of, we had a night to shoot this type of thing.
I mean, it's set up so well where you have all these different characters. We're going to like all the different cars and seeing all these different sort of personalities that you could really take hold of and get a grip on and do some really fun stuff with it. But I mean, like you said, it was just one of those, probably they had that night to do it and then they had to be done.
Tell me about the performance of the mother in this. You kind of touched on it.
I don't know. It's baffling is what it is. I think that's the most, where I say everything feels like a fever dream, a lot of it comes from that. There's some of it that is the elements of how the kills are played out and how nonchalant Terry is about it all. But her performance in this, it has no rationale. It's all over the place. And it's really, there's some things that I'm like, is that not a joke? There's a point where Terry comes in and she's like, did they find him? Did they find Todd? He's like, no, we haven't found him yet. It's like, we got to find him. You got to get out there and find him. Terry, wear a jacket. And you're like, wait, what? And it's wear the blue run. What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, are they trying to imply that the reason the brothers are so strange is maybe the mother raised them
That's
in
the only
this
thing,
isolated, strange, upbringing?
That's the only thing I can assume, because, I mean, it never goes there, but I get real sleepwalker vibes with this lady. I don't know if you felt that or noticed it.
I didn't, but I see it. Like you pointed out, I get what you're saying.
I kept just being like, oh, are they about to fuck?
Right. Very incestuous.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally
really strange.
took them as children to the drive-in, knowing, I guess, that she was gonna, go all the way with her date. So that's like a very awkward. Yeah. The kids basically like leave the car when they realize their mother's gonna go all the way with this guy in the front seat. But yeah, Louise Lasser, who is still with us, by the way. I looked her up. Yeah. She's still with us as of this recording. She is a really interesting actor. I mean, to say the least. There is a sequence where she is dialing the phone. She's, an old rotary phone, and she's like pouring and drinking wine at the same time. And the weird multitasking of it was really amusing to me. Like there's like this, it's the type of thing where I'm like, is she a genius and just wanted to like do something extra for the scene that was very mundane? Or was it in the direction? Did they give her more to do just to kind of occupy her because she was difficult? You know what I mean? Like, we'll make her multitask in the scene, and hopefully that'll kind of get her mind off of shenanigans. I don't know. I don't know what's going into the alchemy of some of her moments in this film, but it's, as much as it repulsed me to see her eating the leftovers on the kitchen floor, it was still amusing, She's cleaning the stove at one point and very meticulously, and it's, I don't know, there's something in her performance that I did kind of appreciate on some level.
You can't help but be transfixed with it.
Yeah.
Because every choice is odd.
Yeah.
So, I'll give it that. It's something interesting. It's something that you take note of. So, it has that going for it.
I also, one of the other kills that I loved was the lady gets chopped in half. A woman is literally chopped in half, and I guess they really wanted to milk the special effect, and they have her survive for quite a while after. I mean, she is, literally chopped in half, like her, I would say, rib cage up,
right?
Is the upper half, and the actor is like, the special effect or whatever, she's still alive and like on the ground, like, oh, and all that stuff. And it plays out for a very, very long time. And they have other people discover the body. So that you could tell they were really in love with this special effects. So they really stretched it out and tried to show it as much as they could. But I thought it was really funny.
They had Todd discover it and grab her bottom half and put it up to her top half. Like it was going to reconnect or something.
Yeah.
He's like, why?
They should have had her come back briefly. I'm still barely alive.
Todd, it was your brother, Terry.
Yeah. They should have went for it. But I love that special effect. I loved all the gore effects. The only one that I thought was a little lackluster was the diving board kill.
Oh,
There's a couple, and it's hilarious because this couple get buck naked on a diving board of this community complex pool. They're on Thanksgiving night, no less. They're making out or whatever, about ready to get it on this. I guess they are supposed to be getting it on. I don't really know, but they're buck naked, both the male and female, and our killer assaults them, and the kill is so. Like the scenario is so hyper elevated that I thought something really clever was going to happen involving the pool or the diving board or whatever, but he just smacks the guy in the face. He falls into the water, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
And it just felt kind of like lazy for the premise, because the premise I thought was like really fun, and it's like the classic slasher thing where you're like, it's the moment you're scared that your parents might walk in on you watching the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like having that, those little synapses in my brain were firing of like, ooh, I'm watching something forbidden. And then it just kind of ends. Like, I thought that was kind of lackluster.
Yeah, they may have ran out of money at that point. Because, it's just a quick, like, slash that you don't even see the slashes. And then it's kind of it.
I mean, at the very least, he could have, like, done the classic stab them through on a diving board. I mean, that would just be kind of fun. Have the two sandwiched together.
Yeah, this is just a really fun, interesting slasher film that has these interesting oddball characters doing oddball things. It's just a strange amount of fun. I feel like you can't go wrong with this one. Yeah.
And even though there aren't many threads about Thanksgiving, I kind of like that it's at least set at Thanksgiving. It gives it a little flavor.
Yeah. I do like that too. You got the one little Thanksgiving dinner scene, and then he won't stop talking about fucking cranberry sauce. But yeah, there's not a lot of elements to it. But when we're so starved for like some fun Thanksgiving horror films, you take what you can get.
Sure.
So
sure. Well, let's stick the landing. What are you going to give this one?
Based just on how much joy and fun I get out of it, I will give it a C+.
Really?
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think I'm going to straight up give it a B.
Nice.
Yeah. Like I had a lot of fun watching it. I think this would be fun to watch with a group.
For sure.
I mean, if you have like a friend Thanksgiving where it's like your friends get together for a thing, I mean, this would be like a great thing to show, you know what I mean? Like after a thing or before a Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. So I think it's a real crowd pleaser and one that would be a lot of fun to watch with a group.
I put this on, well, I think it's Intruder is a much more competent one.
Right.
And I like it more. I put it up there in the element of just like an oddball, like kind of obscure slasher movie that more people need to check out. And it's really fun to just sit down and just lose yourself to it. And if you can't, you know, like you said, with a bunch of friends, man, you can't go wrong.
I guess that makes this a B- between the two of us.
I'd say that makes sense.
Blood Rage. The Holler Kings say, check it out.
For sure. It's not cranberry sauce.
Hey-o! On every episode of the Holler Kings, even on Thanksgiving, we like to do a segment called Holler at Your Boys.
Holler at your boys, y'all.
It's true. This is open topic. We just bring whatever we want to the table. The Thanksgiving table. Since we were recording this, but spoiler, we were recording this just days after Halloween. It's November 5th. And we are kind of going through the Halloween blues, the post-Halloween blues. And I thought a nice thing for us to talk about for Holler at Your Boys, way after it was dropped on Peacock, is Halloween Ends.
It's Halloween. We're gonna have a good time tonight.
Boogeyman is coming. He's gonna get you. 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 Please help me.
It's time to put the boogeyman to bed.
Halloween Ends.
Yes.
Let's do it, sir.
Very controversial ending
Very controversial.
to this new trilogy of Halloween films kicked off in 2018.
Did you sign the petition?
Tell us about the petition.
I just saw a little post about it. I didn't click on it or anything like that, but apparently somebody... I don't know how many people even signed it. It might just be 2 people that signed it. I'm not sure. But there was apparently a petition that's supposed to be going around for them to completely reshoot Halloween Ends.
I mean,
but a bunch of assholes that probably watched it on Peacock, if not fucking on like Pirate Bay or something.
I mean, and there are also people that totally watched Halloween 6 probably and had no problems with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this was something I was going to sidestep just because A, everyone and their grandma has covered it, and B, it's so maligned, you know what I mean, that I almost don't want to get into the conversation. But at the same time, I just saw so many people that were passionately hating this movie. Basically, everyone I know was either dismissive of it or hated it. Like, and by I mean I know like people online
Yeah.
and people that I follow and podcasts that I listen to. I've heard virtually no one like this movie, and this really
It's very
surprises
few.
me. Tell me how you felt about Halloween Ends, and also just give me a little sprinkle of how you felt about
This trilogy,
this new trilogy,
the
reboot.
McGreen trilogy.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with
Really?
you. Yeah, because I'm kind of going back to Halloween 2018. The first time I watched it, I didn't know how I felt about it.
Really?
Yeah. Now, even though I still have issues with it, there's always going to be that part of you that kind of is like, I can't believe y'all literally said fuck all the other sequels before it and just went and you're on that much of a pedestal for yourself that you can just ignore all the fucking sequels. That there's still a part of, because I mean I know H2O kind of did it,
Right.
but they didn't come out and just dismiss everything else like Halloween 2018 did. Like they literally dismissed everything that came before it. H2O didn't really do that. They even kind of hinted, like she talks about how she faked her own death, which you could then say, oh, well, technically in part 4 she's supposed to be dead, but maybe she just faked it. And then we just don't mention everything else. So you can kind of have some leeway there to be like, maybe in some way they still existed. But in Halloween 2018, they're like, no, none of that shit existed. So there's always going to be a part of me that rubs me the wrong way. But overall, having gone back and rewatched it in the last few Halloweens and everything, I really, really fucking love the 2018 one.
Really?
Yeah. I've really come around to it. I enjoy it a whole lot. I really get passionate into it when I watch it. Every fucking time Judy Greer's just there, Mom, I need you. Gotcha. Boom. Happy Halloween, Michaels. Like, that gives me chills every time. I love it. Then there's the 2 sequels.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I didn't rewatch Halloween Kills this year.
Yeah.
I feel like it's still too much in my brain to watch it and judge it. Because there was a lot of stuff I didn't like about Halloween Kills. I just didn't feel it right to go back and rewatch it just yet. So I'll probably try to rewatch it next year. Mm-hmm. Now that the whole trilogy is here and good and out, maybe I'll watch all 3 of them next year and see how I feel. So, and then Halloween Ends is, of course, really fresh in my mind. There was stuff I liked about it, most definitely. Mm-hmm. There was stuff I really did not care for. But then I go back, there was stuff like that in the 2018 one.
Yeah.
That now, like I said, some of the stuff I just chalk up and go, whatever, what are you going to do about it? Some of the stuff that I didn't like, I like now. So I really find I'm hard-pressed to say how I feel about it because I just don't know exactly. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with this whole McGreen trilogy. Yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that this is actually very on brand for us to talk about this trilogy because it's Southern filmmakers. Obviously, Danny McBride, he's from Georgia.
For sure.
And is it David Gordon Green?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Or am I saying?
No, David Gordon Green.
Yeah, David Gordon Green is from Arkansas.
Yeah.
So they are Southern filmmakers. I feel like occasionally that seeps in to this material a little bit.
And they were technically shot in the South, weren't they? Weren't they shot in like North Carolina?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Or South Carolina or something like that?
I think technically Haddonfield is supposed to be Jersey?
I think it's supposed to be
Chicago, right?
Yeah, I was supposed to be the Illinois area. So.
But, so I'm rooting for this. I'm a little biased.
And I really love David Gordon Green and Danny McBride's movies. I even enjoy Your Highness.
Right. So, I mean, the thing is I'm convinced, I think I read somewhere, I don't know if this is rumor or factual, but I picked up somewhere that their original pitch for these Halloween movies were 2 movies. Mm-hmm. That they had an idea for 2 movies, and basically Blumhouse said, we have the rights right now. Let's just make 1 movie and see how it goes before we agree. Because they originally wanted to shoot them back to back, this 2 movie idea. The first one, the 2018, was a huge hit. And I think Blumhouse came back to them and said, "Hey, listen, can you make this a trilogy? We have the rights for 3 movies until it reverts back, and you might as well just go ahead and fill it all out, all 3 of them." And I don't feel like Kills was intended to be part of part of this film series. I feel like basically they wanted the original Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween 2018, and then Halloween Ends, I think was supposed to be a trilogy. You were supposed to be able to watch those 3 movies and it tell a complete story. Because the events of 2018 end in a way where I think it's pretty definitive. And if you think about Michael Myers in that trap, the fire trap that Laurie set for him, you can picture him barely surviving it and becoming what he is in Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
Because in Halloween Ends, spoiler if you haven't seen it, it's on Peacock. I think it's worth checking out. A lot of people disagree. In Halloween Ends, he's become almost like a troll under the bridge type of character. Yeah. He's diminished. He's been injured badly. He probably inhaled a lot of smoke. And he is just really weakened and barely survived this ordeal. I guess if you want to take the events of Kills in or whatever, he was severely attacked by everyone in Haddonfield, to include a woman with an iron, to just beat the tar out of him. So I guess theoretically he survived that, and that's why he's diminished, in the actual line of movies. I feel like that wasn't supposed to be part of it.
No, because he doesn't seem phased about it at the end of Kills.
No. I mean, and that's the thing is, to make Kills work, to make a second movie, they basically had to ignore the fire trap and just say he got out of it and he was fine. But I think the original intention was that was going to severely injure him and make him a different type of character going into the 3rd movie. And to me, it's wild. On one hand, I sympathize with it because they advertised Ends with Michael Myers heavy material. They showed him on the poster with Jamie Lee Curtis. The trailer that they released, I only watched one, but one of them was basically the showdown in the kitchen between Michael Myers and Laurie. So I understand how fans went into it thinking, oh, this is going to be a Michael Myers movie. It's going to be him going one final time up against Laurie, and it's going to be this big showdown. I sympathize with it. But as someone that hates it when trailers give away everything, I love how they marketed this fucking thing, because it's it's a bait and switch. It is. It totally is. But I like that in this case, because I didn't expect what they did at all. I thought it was so refreshing that they did go in a different direction, and that Michael was a different type of character. He actually showed his age for once, because that was a criticism I had of the 2018 version, is that even though Michael Myers is well into his 60s, he might as well be a 21-year-old man. I mean, he's still super capable and strong and athletic. And I love in this movie that he is...
In 2018 or in Kills?
In both. In both, sure. You would never know that he's supposed to be a character that's well into his 60s.
Yeah.
They never give you any hint of that. And at least in this movie, you get that. You get that he's an old man and that he is human and fragile. And with my experiences, this is going to get very heavy-handed, but my experiences in corrections and dealing with people that are troubled on death row, whatever, is how mundane it all is and how ordinary it is. And I feel like there was a part of that that's transmuted here, where you think of Michael as almost this supernatural thing in this, this killer shark evil, but it kind of becomes a lot more ordinary in this movie because he is human, and he is able to be beaten up by a not very imposing young man at one point in the movie, and spoiler, by Laurie Strode, a grandmother, later on. I like that. I think it's cool that they went there, and that they, dealt with, a passing of the torch type of thing. And I love all the Renegade sequels. You're thinking of Tommy Jarvis in Friday the 13th Part 5. You're thinking of, Halloween 3. I like those types of sequels that go off the beaten path and give you something different, especially when they've given you the same thing over and over and over a long time. I'm going to end it in a second. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
But I would understand people's outrage because people are livid about this thing. I mean, they're livid that Michael Myers was diminished and that he wasn't the central killer for the whole movie and that Corey became the killer. But I would understand that if there had not been a Michael Myers-centric Halloween movie for the past 20 years. And it was the first movie, and they were like, man, I just can't wait to see Michael killing people again. I got to see it. But you got 2 movies in a row, 2018 and 2021, where he was doing those things. Like, you literally just wanted to see the exact same thing over again? Like, you literally just wanted to see him do the exact same... Like, again,
The answer is yes, they did.
They did. But, like, you've seen that so many times now. Like, why wouldn't you want something a little different and a little off the beaten path? And I have to admit, if people didn't hate this movie so much... I probably wouldn't love it so much. I have to admit, there is a little bit of that where it's like people push so hard that I like it more.
For sure.
If I had just caught this randomly and had no idea what people thought of it, I would just think it's like a serviceable, like, you know, kind of interesting movie. Wouldn't be crazy about it. But the fact that people hate it so bad makes me want to take up for it more, to be honest. Just because I've seen barely anybody like this thing. And even the people that like it are dismissive, it seems like. So... I'm going to try to go to bat for it. You know, it definitely has a shitload of moments that you just have to go with and not question. Like, there's definitely plot holes. There's shenanigans. There's like the weird thing where it seems like maybe Michael was like passing his essence to Corey. It's like their eyes or, you know, I mean, there's stuff you definitely have to just go with. I mean, how Michael Myers has any idea where Laurie lives now because she bought a new house. Like, I mean, I guess maybe he followed Corey. I don't know. I mean, in the original, we accepted that he learned how to drive somehow. I heard some people also...
Well, Sam told us.
There's also, like, people that were complaining that were like, what is he eating? Like, rats? Is he just eating rats down there? And it's like, well, he ate a dog in the original.
Yeah.
So is it really that weird to think that Michael Myers is surviving on rats and garbage and maybe the random person every now and then? That maybe he's literally a troll under a bridge eating people? I don't think it's that weird, like, for what they've given us so far. So push back, Adam. Be the voice of the people. I can tell you want to.
I do agree. I like the idea of this movie overall.
Yeah.
I just feel like it shouldn't have been the finale.
Yeah.
It should have been Halloween Kills, or even Halloween. This is what I wanted them to do, and what I thought they were gonna do in 2018 when Dr. Zartan puts on the mask. I was like, holy shit, this dude's gonna take over and start killing people. I was like, if they do that, that's amazing. And then they didn't have the balls to do it, and then they made this whole movie out of it.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like it would have worked a lot better in that one. Or, like you said, at the end, make it Halloween Kills at the end with the fire and stuff. Then this movie happens, and then do something else for Halloween Ends. Mm-hmm. I felt like this didn't seem like a justified finale. I thought it was a great movie. I thought the twist of doing something different with it was great overall. But in a movie that, not even just in their advertising, since 2018, this has been all about Michael and Laurie. To switch that up at the end just seemed kind of like a misstep to me.
Well, in Kills, she's just in bed the whole movie.
No, for sure. But the whole while she doesn't have anything to do in that movie either, it's all, everything is centered around those two. Mm-hmm. Even though she doesn't have shit all to do in that movie, it's still the central story of Laurie and Michael. And then for it to just kind of flip on this now and be Corey and Michael, it's kind of like, it seemed like it shouldn't have been the finale. That's my biggest issue with it. A lot of the other stuff is nitpicky. You mentioned the townspeople being like against her now. That seemed weird to me. It didn't make sense to me. Because it was like, what, y'all are mad at her? Why? She told y'all for 40 years he was coming back and y'all ignored her, and then he did, and now you're mad at her?
Well, I feel like, granted, it's maybe a little bit of a leap, but I feel like what's going on there is just the fact that, like, they may not know the detail that the doctor helped make some of this stuff happen, right? Like, there is the doctor in the first film that kind of helps make some of this connective tissue happen or whatever. But if Laurie has been, like, raving for decades that Michael is going to break out and he's going to come for her, but yet he ends up killing 20 plus people other than her, I could see people being like, you know, like, this is something you brought on us. Like, he's after you. You claimed for decades he was after you. Why did you stay here? Why did you let him go through all these people instead of facing him? You know what I'm saying? Sort of like, if you're the issue here and you've told us that for decades, I could see people being upset. Like if their family members or friends were killed, you know, in the line of all this thing that they think they perceive as some kind of weird vendetta between Michael and her. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess I would get that with 2018, but then with Kills, it's the whole fucking town against him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So then, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess I could see if someone just didn't know anything, really just in passing knew what happened, maybe. But, I mean, once it gets into Kills, like, everything becomes off the wall, and it's a whole town after him. So, I don't know. But again, that's one of those nitpicky things. It's not that important.
Well, I mean, and that's the bottom line is, like, when I first saw 2018, I thought it was the perfect bookend. Like, I liked it. I liked the idea of watching the original and then the 2018 one and just going, this is the whole story.
2018 almost should have been the end.
That's
at least the last, like, 30 minutes or whatever.
I mean, she was damaged by this incident. She held way too much weight to it because technically it was a very mundane, this guy just was killing randomly and she happened to get caught up in it.
Yeah.
She thought it was more special than it really was, but she came out on top. She managed to finally kill this guy. It looked very definitive to me. That looked like a great way to kill this character and have it be an official ending. So when Kills reset it and he just broke out and killed like 8 firemen effortlessly, that I was just like, you know, they established this like pseudo-realistic 2018 setting and then went off the charts in the vein of the sequels, you know, superpowered Michael Myers.
And then comes back with Ends to try to have it both ways, kind of.
Yeah,
because they try to make it super realistic, but then there is like the whole psychic phenomenon between him and Corey that makes no sense. There
seems to be a transference of power, and there's kind of an idea that maybe even Michael is weakened because he hasn't officially killed anyone for a while.
Yeah, there is.
And he gets stronger as he kills.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like killing is Michael's spinach.
Yeah,
I guess.
Apparently, and I love the sequence by the pool where Corey and Michael team up to kill this couple. I thought that was a really fun.
You mentioned that. And that whole sequence is fucking, and the scarecrow mask, all that was top notch. That was great. And that's kind of what, like I said, that's kind of what I was hoping is vibes of something like that with the Doctor in 2018. That was a really great sequence. It was awesome. I have no problems, as someone who is such a huge lover of Halloween 3, I have no problems that Michael isn't in every bit of this movie. If you could really honestly go back into Halloween 1's, how much is in the first Halloween, how much is Michael actually literally in the movie? Mm-hmm. He's omnipresent in it, right. But how much is he actually in the movie? So I'm not really worried about that. I thought this movie was good overall. My main thing is just that it shouldn't have been the finale, because I thought that whole sequence at the beginning was great. I thought it was really cool way to establish this new character that we're just getting kind of roped in the final one. That whole sequence of where you're just waiting for Michael and then bam, literally the body hits the floor. I thought it was a cool, awesome way to open that movie.
This is someone that loves quiet movies and indie movies and character studies. I liked the first half of this movie too, where it almost felt like if you like stuff like Larry McMurtry, Last Picture Show, where it's like lonely people finding each other.
Oh yeah.
That's like the first 30, 40 minutes of this movie, and it felt like this weird character study of these damaged people just desperately wanting to make connections with people. You know what I mean?
Didn't you feel like Allison's is a little too desperate? That doesn't seem like her character.
Like, I understand she is a capable person and very attractive and, smart and everything. But like, I bought it, man. Like, I bought the idea that she would see this other damaged guy that had been judged by this community and want to reach out to him,
I get that. I think my biggest thing was that it just happens way too fast. It feels like this movie takes place over a couple days.
I think it does.
That just doesn't seem like, if it had been like a month or two, I could kind of see where she would become like kind of maybe like toxically in love with this guy. Mm-hmm. I could kind of get it more, but over just a couple days, it seems really out of place for her character. Even, I don't know. I haven't experienced trauma like she did, so maybe that would be normal. But for something like that to happen, it just felt really out of place for her character, at least for it to be that quickly.
Well, I think it should be noted they're still very young. I mean, in the 2018 movie, she's still in high school. So, I'm putting these characters 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're very, very young still. So, maybe I'm shortchanging young people. I don't mean to be too rude here, but I buy it. I just buy that someone that young could make a connection like that, and that whole sequence where they're at the party. I know it's pretty heavy-handed, but like when they're dancing and they're like super into it, and again, this is heavy-handed, and this is the type of thing I normally don't fall for very much. But there's this idea where, he basically is so into it that he like falls to his knees and is just like looking up at her. And, you juxtapose that to the ending where he's dying and she discovers his body. And it's like the parallel, like those two bookends of when they were super happy and elated and lost in that moment to just the lowest rung of, human suffering pretty much when, she's looking at him dead, like it's like a nice parallel, I thought. And totally worked for me. Like I'm not trying to give this the gravitas of something like Last Picture Show. You know what I mean? Like, I get that it's still, at its essence, it's still just like a dumb horror movie in the classical sense,
Yeah.
I think that's another way that people are stumbling a little bit, is that they want this to be elevated horror, when I don't think any of these movies are elevated horror. Like they have touches and notes of that, but I think at the end of the day, they're fun horror movies.
Yeah.
That just look really good, Like, I think they're very much throwbacks to 80s, and 70s slashers, just with a certain pedigree behind them or whatever. Like,
Right.
I don't think that they're trying to be Ari Aster or Jordan Peele, elevated horror. And I think people want it to be a little bit, and people were really searching for that in the 2018 version. And I remember Jamie Lee Curtis with Halloween Kills was trying to like equate it to Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. And I was just like, I think you're off the mark. I don't think that's really the intention behind the filmmakers very much. You know? I'm also going to say, I'm going to upset you.
Uh-oh.
I think this is the best sequel.
I
think Halloween is the best movie. Halloween 3 is my favorite. I think this is the best Michael Myers sequel. I think it's better than H2O. I think it's better than, all the other ones I feel like they're almost like interchangeable. I like Donald Pleasance going nuts in 4 and 5. He is going off the deep end. That's so fun to watch. And 4 has a lot of strong points, but I don't know. I think I'm saying it.
I'm not upset by that. I'm shocked by it. I disagree, but no, I'm not. Hey, if that's what you go for, then
okay. Where do you put this one in the sequel? You rank them. Rank them. There's only 13 or 14.
Are we counting the zombie ones?
Yes.
Okay, because they're last, no matter what.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to at least put that above.
Oh yeah. If I was to rank them, I would go 1, 3, 2, 7, 2018, 4, 5. Then I'll go.
You sexy beast. If you put Resurrection above this, if you put Resurrection above Ends, I'm gonna take issue.
I don't. This is where it gets into the weeds of where it's tough. I would need to watch Resurrection again. I probably haven't seen Resurrection like really sat down and watched it in 10+ years. I haven't watched 6 in so long that I barely remember those movies.
I'm gonna make a prediction. I think you're gonna watch Ends before you watch Part 6 or Part 8 again.
Oh, that's accurate.
There you go. So it's above. It beats them then.
No, I just haven't. Resurrection is just so good in the way. No, I'm playing.
It does have some great moments.
See, I wonder. I would like to go back and watch it because I think it has dated charm that probably wasn't there. Then we can only go back to rose-colored nostalgia glasses and find because at least I know going back. I mean, it probably did take itself too seriously. But I think there is that datedness that would probably give it some humor to it where you'd find it fun and have a good time with it. And I really need to see Kills and Ends again. I'm not saying that I would put 6 or Resurrection above Kills or Ends. But those 4 movies is where I'm at an impasse. I would need to watch them all again to know for sure where I put them. Rob Zombie's 1 and 2 are at the very end for sure. Just for me personally.
No, I mean...
So, but you go Halloween and then Halloween Ends?
Well, I mean, Halloween 3 is probably technically my favorite of all of them. Yeah. So I don't have that much skin in the game, which I probably should have front-loaded this. I love Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, and I love how batshit the sequels are. I mean, starting from Part 2 with Ben Tramer, I mean, there's just, like, ridiculous crap that happens in those movies. Yeah, I think I would go Halloween 3, Halloween, which I respect that Halloween is a better movie than Halloween.
Wait, you go Halloween 3 over 78?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, because I can't lie. I've watched Halloween 3 more times than I've watched from beginning to end.
Right.
But I love the original. And so, yeah, Halloween 3, Halloween, and then Halloween Ends, I think is how I would do it.
Wow.
And then Halloween 4... Halloween 2, Halloween 5.
You put those over H2O?
I don't like H2O that much.
Really?
I think H2O is like too of its time and focuses
wannabe Scream.
It focuses too much on like the teens and not on Jamie Lee.
But she was a good Laurie Strode in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I might have to. You know how you're saying revisiting some of these. I might have to really sit and watch H2O again. But yeah, I kind of don't like that track. I don't really like Resurrection at all. I guess I put H2O before 6. It's kind of I could go either way.
Yeah.
Because I still like Donald Pleasance. I like Paul Rudd.
Right.
The weirdness of it, I kind of like. Although I do think it's hilarious that there are people that prefer Part 6 over Halloween Ends. Because it's like...
There's no fucking way.
You're complaining about how Michael's portrayed in Ends, but not in Part 6. I mean, Part 6 is just like... way off the reservation and strange, and I mean, we're talking about
but if you
incest.
If you look at their wrist, they have a thorn tattoo. I'm sure,
which is fun.
They're part of it.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, and then Halloween 2 of the Rob Zombie, and then Halloween Rob Zombie. Oh shit! I forgot about the. I gotta redo mine.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It's so okay. This you can cut all this. Halloween 3, Halloween Ends, Halloween 2018, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, Halloween Kills.
I was gonna say you really don't like Halloween Kills.
I didn't care for it, and then Halloween 2 of the Rob Zombie, and then Rob Zombie Halloween. I would go that route. Because I kind of like Part 2 was just weird.
Two I respect.
You know what I mean?
I only watched it once, but I actually enjoyed it where the first one, I left the theater angry.
Yeah,
And I did rewatch it years later, and it wasn't as bad as I played it out to
For
be,
sure.
but it's still not for me.
I mean, he had like an impossible task because the original was so beloved to literally try to remake it and reimagine it.
I
This
was
is- it's a
rooting
really
for
hard-
him though.
Yeah,
I was so
it's-
excited for it.
It's
but-
a hard. I mean, I don't blame him for taking a shot, but it's just impossible. And I hate the whole like screaming family stuff that he does in that movie. It just is too much for me.
One is a student of the black arts.
Was only 8 years old when I saw him.
The other has tracked his murderous paths.
Michael Myers has come back to kill.
Look out, there's someone in the room.
Together in the final confrontation with Michael Myers, the secret of his evil will be revealed.
He's very angry.
Halloween, the curse of Michael Myers. This film has not yet been rated.
I had an issue with the characters of Laurie and Allison in this movie. I thought Laurie was... In 2018, we meet Laurie, who has been obsessive about something that happened to her 40 years ago, to where it's damaged relationships with her family, the people around her, and in Halloween Ends, we come upon her and she's basically fine now, it seems, even though in 2018, dude's been locked up for 40 years. She knows he's locked up. He's not getting, he's not out. Halloween Ends, he's killed her daughter and disappeared. No one knows where he is. And she's like fine. That seemed really weird to me.
You really think she's fine?
I feel compared to like 2018, yeah.
I feel like she's trying to live a normal life, but not fine. I think there's a difference.
Well, I mean, we don't see that she isn't fine, really.
Okay. So I get that. Like, I'm not disputing it because, the script probably didn't give us enough to kind of go one way or the other. I mean, she discovered that Michael is not after her. She found that out because in 2018, she's convinced Michael will come after her. But she discovers in a roundabout way that was the doctor trying to make that happen or whatever, that there is no connective tissue between her and Michael. So she's not special. And Michael is not as special as she thought he was. So she realizes she wasted decades of her life worrying about this guy and worrying about what might happen if he broke out. And even though he's still supposedly out there in the ether somewhere, I think she realizes she has to do some damage control and try to be a regular person again. That's why she buys a really mundane house. That's why she picks up all these mundane hobbies, like writing a book, because I feel like a lot of people are trying to weigh in that they're being too like heavy-handed with this book or whatever. The book it's a blog. I mean,
I forgot all about the book.
She's just writing for herself. I don't think she has any delusions of grandeur that like other people are going to read it.
Like she's gotten a deal already or something.
And people are like, oh, it's so heavy-handed and so badly written. It's like, yeah, she's just some regular person writing her feelings. Like, I don't think it's supposed to have this super heavy, like, oh man, this is amazing. But yeah, like, I feel like she's trying her best to pick up the pieces because she realizes she wrecked her life for no reason. She should have been living like a regular person that whole time and trying to get past it. But instead, she built up all these walls and she ruined her relationship with her entire family, essentially got her daughter killed in the process. For what? You know what I mean? So I think she's trying really hard, even though she's still damaged, she's trying hard to be a regular person. And I think that's why she reaches out to Corey when she sees he's kind of in a similar boat by being this guy, because, he has like a pretty shitty past where he accidentally killed a kid, and the town is kind of like transmuting some of their damage onto him because it happened on Halloween, and they're portraying him as some big freak. And she kind of takes it upon herself to kind of reach out to him. And I think that's part of her damage, to be honest. Like, I think if she was totally like, I'm a regular person now, she wouldn't touch that dude. I think the fact that she's still a little fucked up is why she reaches out to him and tries to, make that happen. Also, this whole sequence where he's in the house where the boy died, and Jamie Lee, Laurie confronts him and they have the back and forth. She wasn't really there. Like, that was in his head. There's even a part where she makes a paper plane and throws it at him. Why would she do that? Like, that's him calling back to the boy making the paper plane and throwing it at him. Like, that's all in his head. So, like, you shouldn't watch that scene thinking, wow, Laurie's really going out of her way to, like, track this guy down, have another talk with him. That didn't happen. That was just in his head or whatever.
Do you feel like
yes,
that's actually
yes,
or you? Because I feel like
yes,
I can buy everything you're saying, but I feel like you're giving them a lot more credit than they.
No.
I don't know if all that was in their head.
Listen, at the end of the day,
it's not portrayed on screen.
It is. Why would she make a paper plane and throw it at him if it wasn't a callback to the boy making the paper plane and throwing it at him?
I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the general nature of her being damaged and trying to get over everything, realizing them. I can buy all that. I don't think it's portrayed on screen, but I can buy all that. The stuff with her not being there, I didn't think about that. Maybe I could.
It's not a maybe. It's not a maybe.
Well, I mean, does it actually say that in the movie and I missed it, or?
Oh, listen, Adam, you're a cinema savant. You don't need it spoon-fed to you, damn it. The paper plane hits him. He looks over. She's gone. What, you think she like sprinted out of the house? She's like a 70-year-old woman. That was in his head.
I mean, maybe. Do they do that anymore in the movie?
Listen, I've only watched it once. I think, you know, I'm going to bat for this. Like, I admit I'm going to bat for this. And I don't think it's elevated horror. I don't think it's supposed to be super deep, but I do think it's about transformation and about characters changing and coming into their own and trying to make these connections. And you know, it's not a super sophisticated movie or anything, but I still think there's real... I do think there is thought put into this, and there's some symbolism in the filmmaking. And like, I don't think that they were deliberately trying to upset anyone. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's some people that believe that they literally were fucking with the audience by not giving Michael Myers a little bit more to do in the movie. I don't think that was their intention. You know what I mean? Like, and I relate to this because I remember He-Man Revelation. I was annoyed that they advertise it as a He-Man story, and then first episode he's taken out and it becomes totally different people's story. So I understand how they feel, but again,
do you hate Kevin Smith now?
There had not been a He-Man story for like 20 years. It had been a long time since we had seen a He-Man story. I mean, they advertise it as though it's a He-Man story, and then it's not. I feel like I had a valid gripe. I don't think the people wanting to see Michael Myers do the same shit he did in Kills and Ends have the same gripe. Because they literally just had it 2 times in a row in recent memory. And they know they're going to get a reboot or a reimagining, whatever, in like 3 to 5 years tops, where Michael Myers will be an unstoppable juggernaut, killing everybody left and right. All will be set the way you want it. He-Man might not get another shot.
Yeah, but I mean, at least there's something. I shouldn't say that.
Just do it. Just do it.
The original cartoon's not good.
Oh, well, that's true.
It's really bad.
Yeah, it is bad. That's one of those things where I bought back in the day, the aughts, if you will. Yeah. I bought the DVD set sight unseen and watched it and was just like, oh, this is terrible. I can't believe my parents must have thought I was crazy, even as like a 3-year-old.
Same. I didn't buy it. My friend bought it. But yeah, I was obsessed with He-Man. I think I've told you about it. I had Castle Grayskull. I even had the like futuristic space setup and everything. I loved He-Man, and when it came out in the early aughts, he bought it and brought it over, and we started watching it, and I go, oh, no. This is not, so it's like, I mean, whatever. It's a Master of the Universe show. It's fine. But this is from the same person that literally cried on this podcast about fucking Dewey and Scream 25th in 2022. So
I mean, everybody has their hills to die on. I mean, in retrospect, I'm kind of thankful.
Dewey will be back.
I'm kind of thankful that He-Man show didn't give me what I wanted because it kind of helped me be at peace with all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, going forward, I'm not going to be super worried about a He-Man show or something ridiculous, because it did kind of set in on me. I was like, I'm a grown man. Like, why do I even care about He-Man?
Yeah.
I have great memories of those toys and, growing up with it and everything.
For
but
sure.
I'm fine with people having their own version or going forward and just kind of remembering the toys and that being it. So it was kind of like a roundabout blessing that they did that. Although I do think that a He-Man movie in the vein of Thor Ragnarok could be fantastic.
In the vein of the 80s one, more like it.
So yeah, for sure. I mean, just the fun, sci-fi.
Bring back Dolph Lundgren.
But yeah, I think people are way out of line by being upset about it.
Oh no, I agree. It's over the top. It's over the top. Again, this is from someone that cried about Scream 2022.
I mean, like, wanting a petition. I mean, I get some of this stuff is tongue in cheek, and it's more like, what do you call it? Like, when you're doing stuff in front of people, it's kind of like performance.
Yeah.
Like
It's like being
The petition is it's a performance. It's not real. So I understand that. I would understand a lot more if they thought, oh man, we're not going to get another Halloween movie. This is it. This is like the last hurrah for Halloween. But they know there's going to be another Halloween in no time. And if they didn't like the way it ended with Laurie, they've got Halloween, the original, Halloween 2, H2O, and God help me, they have the Resurrection if they want to see.
They have 5 minutes of Resurrection.
They have different versions of what happened to Laurie. They don't need yet another showdown that is more substantial. I mean, she still had a showdown with him and came out on top. I mean, I don't know how you want it to go. Do people want Michael Myers to kill Laurie? Is that like what people want in this franchise?
Maybe. I don't know what they want.
If that's what they want, that's kind of fucked up.
That ending was kind of laughable, though.
Oh, I liked it.
It got very over the top kills-ish.
Well, I think
when all of a sudden it's a parade going down the street of people, I was like, this feels Halloween Kills.
To me, that reeks of like studio interference.
Could be.
Because again, I think that was supposed to be a very subdued, mundane moment where she kills him.
I think that would have worked better.
I don't know that they even wanted the silly refrigerator falling on him. And I feel like the original intent was just going to be she just stabs him to death and he bleeds out. And it's like a very mundane, normal death. But the studio, or maybe even... There's 2 other screenwriters on this, extra, outside of Danny McBride and Green. I don't know if maybe they infused it, going, hey, we have to make this more ceremonial, a bigger deal in the community. It has to be definitive. Like, we have to do something really big to kill him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it would have fit thematically a lot more if she just slit his throat and he died, and she just realized this is a regular man. Like, I put all this deep thought into this guy and thinking he's something special, but he's just a guy. He's just a fucked up dude. I think that would have been a perfect way to kick out. But again, all these fans that are upset, I guess they think he should be strapped to a rocket and shot into space and explode. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be something huge. I don't know. I kind of question. Again, I'm not as attached to Michael Myers as most people are. So
I was always more of a Jason guy than Michael.
And Jason's ridiculous. I mean,
right.
that's why I enjoy that character more, because it's very silly and over the top and fun. And honestly, like, I accept every death that Jason has. Like, there's never been one where I'm like, they can't do that to Jason. You know what I mean? Like, I always kind of like go with it. Even the toxic waste spillage, it's a little weird, but I still went with it.
I thought... Yeah, I guess.
It's the weirdest one, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I thought all that was fine. It was just the whole parade aspect of it was a little laughable to me.
Well, and it's definitely a leap of, like, how did they contact all these people? I mean, because most people, when they hear sirens, even if it's on Halloween in this special town, I would think most people would be like, I'm staying in my bed. You know what I mean? So maybe it was like Paul Revere style, where they were knocking on doors and,
come on, join.
Yeah.
That was all just a little melodramatic and over the top.
Yeah.
It felt very, very Kills to me. Yeah.
We talked about this movie way more than we did Blood Rage. It's crazy how much more passion we had for this.
We both kind of agreed with Blood Rage. Yeah. So I think we have more to talk about with this. We figure since Thanksgiving, we'll do a quick little what we're thankful for in the horror genre, of whatever that may be. I was going to go with something kind of general, but before coming over here, I was listening to this podcast, Dead Pit Radio. They're from Kentucky. They've been doing it since like 2005.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they've been in the game for a while. But they recently they took a break for a good few years. They didn't do it, but they recently came back around the pandemic and been doing it again. And they recently, just not too long ago, did an episode called Forgotten Romero, where they discussed The Dark Half and Bruiser. And they had this one guy on there, Michael. They call him Slipcase. Michael Slipcase Felsher. You know who that is? He runs the company Red Shirt Pictures. Basically, you look at Scream Factory, Vestron, Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow. Any of those companies, you look at the special features, there's a goddamn good chance that Red Shirt Pictures and Michael Felsher did a lot of the bonus features, if not all. They've done, like, there was a big, I don't know if you ever saw back in the day, the Monster Squad DVD. Sure. 20 that had the, like, feature-length documentary on it. That was this guy.
Nice.
So he's done a ton of stuff like that. So he's big with a lot of horror filmmakers and stuff. And he was discussing on there that before Romero died, he did an audio retrospective with Romero, where they would literally watch one of his films and then sit and talk about his life at the time, and just in general what was on his mind. And he said that over the course of several days or whatnot, they did that, going through his whole filmography all the way up to Survival of the Dead. He said he's got probably, 10, 20 hours of just talking to Romero about all this stuff. He just recently has sat down to try to figure out what to do with it, whether release it in like a podcast form or some type of, whatever type of audio thing. I guess that's what I'm thankful for. We recently discussed Romero and how his career didn't always go as planned, and they talked about it some on that episode of the podcast, like some of the, like how because of The Dark Half and a lot of issues with that, he didn't get to do Pet Sematary and all this type of different stuff. It's just really awesome that he sat down and that exists in the world, a record of Romero going through his whole filmography and talking about it. Just, I don't know how many years before he passed away, but it wasn't long before he passed away. And I'm just awesome. I just find it awesome that that's out there. And I look forward to whenever it's somehow out in whatever form to listen to.
Nice.
So.
Very cool. I don't really have a big thing. I just really briefly, I think I'm thankful just that there's so many outlets for horror now that it probably even eclipses like the heyday of straight to video VHS because there's so many streaming services. The box office is so healthy for horror that a lot of stuff still goes to the theater. So I'm just happy with the state of horror, that there's so many voices, and you've got elevated horror, you've got fun horror. There's just so many lanes that are doing so well that, I mean, it's kind of a great time to be a horror fan.
It is really great. And that's kind of why I wanted to just do this real quick, just because even like we were just talking about Halloween Kills, there's so much negativity. And I just wonder if all those people that are being so negative about Halloween Kills, did they pay to go see something like Pearl in theater?
Sure, right.
I mean, you got all this great stuff that's out there, and it's so easy to focus on the negative. Let's just focus on some of the positive. That something like that, like how cool of an idea that was, that they made this throwback slasher exploitation movie and went right into a prequel and are about to go right into a sequel, and it's going into theaters, and I don't know, it's just awesome.
I mean, I know Pearl and X has gotten a little bit of fanfare, but it's wild to me how under the radar it is in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even Scorsese came out talking about how much he loved those movies.
Yeah.
And I just kind of feel like I don't know what's in the water where it's not a bigger deal. Like, I kind of feel like it should be a bigger deal and more heralded by people. But, you know, it's still reaching audiences and it's still doing well.
It's still being really successful. I just wonder about how much, you know, people that focus on the negative are going into something positive like that.
It's true. So, it's like so much psychic and emotional energy is expended for Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, there is so much, you know, good stuff out there that's not like a sequel to a franchise that's 40 years old and doesn't need sequels.
Yeah.
You know, because I, despite our discussion, I'm in the camp that Halloween never needed a sequel, that it could have just been a wonderful standalone movie.
I disagree, but the sequel should have been Halloween 3 and then the anthology format.
Oh, I mean, that would be beautiful. Yeah. No, that's definitely the alternate timeline I wish I lived in as far as movies go. Yeah. And again, they still could have revisited Michael in those sequels. They could have, you know, circled back around to him somehow. But, well, tell us in those comments, what are you thankful for in the horror genre?
Let us know. And we're also thankful for you.
Oh, it's true. Very true. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Adam, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Until next time.
Holla at your boys, y'all.
Oh. You sexy beast. If you put resurrection above this, if you put resurrection above ends, I'm going to take issue.